to Local 4 today. Time now 6:38. In our Wellness Wednesday here, dietitian Shannon Frink joining us.
Yeah.
And it's back to school season, so of course packing those lunches sometimes for kids, the kids that bring a cold lunch, or you know, our teens and adults as well.
Yeah.
But there are healthy options for both your kids up to adults if you're going to be packing that lunch, right?
Yeah. We pack a lot of lunches in my household
Yeah.
between myself and my son and my other son when he was still at home. And so it's really easy to get into a rut and feel like you're making the same thing or eating the same thing over and over. And so that is a little bit of the challenge when it comes to packing a lunch. And there's probably two main things to kind of keep in mind from a nutrition standpoint. One is try to work in all the food groups as much as possible.
Sure.
So a little bit of dairy, you know, whether that's through some cheese or yogurt or even a carton of milk if you want to put that in there.
Okay.
And you know, some fruits and some vegetables and some protein and some whole grains.
Right.
And just trying to get that well-balanced meal as much as possible. And then how are you going to keep it cold? That's the other thing to really keep in mind too.
Right.
So having an ice pack in there so it at least stays cold until the lunchtime hours.
Definitely needing, if you've got things that need to stay cold, you definitely want them to be properly chilled for sure. I find that to be, we have those little lunch boxes, you know, sometimes those ice packs take up half the space. So are there tips on that? Any kind that seem to be better? I feel like the brick ones might take up a lot of space. The squishier ones seem a little better for us. Anyway.
We have a few that are they're just real thin, and they're a hard plastic, so they freeze really well, but they don't seem to take up quite as much room. But yeah, you know, again, as we were kind of talking earlier, I have a 18-year-old that we have to pack a lot of food for him, and so to be able to get the food in there and get the ice pack in there is a little bit of a challenge.
Right. And so we have here something that would be pretty well balanced then, it looks like.
Right, yeah. So we just made a chicken salad, and the great thing about chicken salad is that there's just 1,000,001 different ways that you can make it. So the base is just a little bit of olive oil, mayonnaise, and then some yogurt, actually. And so one of my favorite versions of it actually uses a lemon-flavored yogurt, and then you put toasted almonds and blueberries in it. So a very different flavor than what you would sometimes get. This one has a little bit of dill in it, but again, lots of different options depending on what your preferences are. I serve it usually with either crackers or like a whole grain cracker, or on a bed of lettuce. For my son, again, who needs a few extra calories and needs a little bit more to keep him full, we're going to put it on maybe like a croissant or something like that, just to give him a little bit more.
I see some, what we do sometimes is like the sourdough bread. That's a good one too. And then got some veggies and fruit in there as well.
Yeah. And this is a great time of year to be able to try to work in a lot of those fresh vegetables and fruits, because they're readily available at the farmer's market or at the grocery store. And so a great way to kind of start trying some of those things.
Definitely. And something when it comes to maybe younger kids, like we have one student that eats hot lunch and another one that likes a lunch packed. Are there suggestions for kids when it comes to, you know, changing things, trying different things, keeping it kind of interesting for their lunches?
Yeah, and that is a little bit of the challenge when you're packing a lunch, is how do you find new things to be able to pack? And sometimes it's as simple as changing up the packaging, how you know, do you have fun little containers that you can put it in, and maybe that makes it a little bit more fun. We have done in the past where we actually kind of do a menu where, you know, every day of the week we have kind of, maybe not the whole meal, but what kind of entree are we going to do, just to try to give it as much variety as possible. And if you do that kind of up front this time of year, you can use that throughout the school year or some variation of it and make it as simple as possible.
Okay, well, lots of lunches probably being packed right now, so lots of great information and tips there for us. Thank you so much, Shannon.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right, and stick with us. Speaking of lunches, we're talking school lunches. We're talking your hot lunches now during our Facebook Talkers. Stick with us.